Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. I'm your host, Chris the Brain. Joining me once again, it is the toy man, Chris DiPetrillo.
Hello, Brain. Happy to join you and Ryan here tonight. We were just talking about summer vacations before we went on the air, and it looks like tonight we're going to be traveling far off to a distant land for a look back at a movie that I have not watched in quite some time.
Yeah, it is our first podcast of summer. The official summer has begun now. Ryan Campbell, welcome back to the show.
What am I gonna do? Happy to be here, Brain.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone's happy that you're here after that beautiful rendition. And let me tell you, if you already have the summertime blues, there's really no cure for it, from what I understand. But this podcast may at least alleviate some of the symptoms for the next hour or so. So you got that going for you. But let's talk about it. It's June. We're wrapping up June. We're heading into July. But what a June it has been. What a mix of shows we've had here on the Bulletproof Podcast. Chris, you and I started things off with the new Karate Kid movie, which is actually what brought today's podcast to mind. Because I felt a connection there.
Yeah, obviously with Karate Kid Legends still in theaters, this sequel slash, we talked about how it's kind of building a new world, and then obviously we talked about a lot of the derivatives, kind of like the copycat stuff that came out of the original trilogy, and that brought us back here to, I guess what you could say is an in-name only sequel to one of our favorite films, another film that we've talked about ad nauseum over the years.
That's right. Then, of course, from there, we enjoyed some Stanley Cup action with Sudden Death, which has really been one of our more popular podcasts. And you know who's going to take credit for that, Ryan Campbell?
Who's that? I don't know.
Chad Cruz.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I've already forgotten that he was there.
That's nice. But yeah, Chad Cruz will take full credit for that being our most listened to podcast, at least for the month of June. And then last week, Ryan, you and I, it was Wild West week.
That's right. We got to watch Breakheart Pass, which was fun to check out a little more of Bronson's Western work, which is a very large portion of his filmography, but doesn't get a lot of focus on bulletproofaction.com quite that often. So it was fun to check that out. And I was pleasantly surprised. If you haven't checked it out, go listen back. But man, that movie holds up.
It's a very good movie. And I was pleased as punch, as someone says, that we got to watch that and talk about that here on the podcast. And of course on bulletproofaction.com, part of Wild West Week. Chris, Black Creek, you covered it.
Of course I covered it. Was there ever any doubt?
Maybe.
You never know.
No, there was no way.
If renting it was $24.99, I think you may have been like,
No. I mean, I just would have, tried to do 6 to 8 No Surrender Cinemas per month to try to make it up in ad revenue. No, I mean, there was no way I was staying away from that one. Cynthia Rothrock's, big movie deal. She's been pushing this one for a couple of years. This was her pet project, her passion project. Of course, Don the Dragon Wilson was in it. Richard Norton, the late great Richard Norton. So very fun to see a lot of old faces. You can read my thoughts on it right now in No Surrender Cinema. I won't spoil them here. Maybe one of these days, once it hits Tubi or Pluto TV or Netflix or whatever, we'll do a podcast. We'll get Ryan to sit back and watch it. Hopefully he has better thoughts for this than Missing in Action 2. But yeah, I have my thoughts on it. I don't want that to be a negative, but there were some things that I expected going into it and some other things that I don't know. Westerns aren't really my thing, so it was kind of tough to get a lock on this one.
I know, and that's why I was like, well, but Rothrock and Dragon were probably going to be enough to get you to do it, and it was true. It was enough to get you to do it. I want to say that my biggest disappointment in Wild West Week was Django the Bastard. Because
not nearly enough bastards.
There was not a single bastard.
Not a single one, and it's in the title?
Yeah.
That's false advertising, I would dare say.
I was just going to say false advertising.
I mean, this is the greatest case of false advertising since the never-ending story.
There you go.
But yeah, No Bastards. It was a good movie, but that left a bad taste in my mouth. With No Bastards.
Maybe that's a new site feature we could do, is some sort of lawyer-based thing. Did a movie lie to you about what it was going to promise? Well, let's take them to court.
Right. Maybe we can
I'll
get
fight
Steven
for you.
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, but you know what I did love was Diablo, the new Scott Adkins movie. Excellent, probably the best pure action movie I've seen. I know I said The Prosecutor was my favorite, and it's still up there, but it was like part action, part legal drama. Where this one here, Diablo, pure action, you get your martial arts in there. It's very good, and if you're an action fanatic, and if you probably are if you're listening to this, or you're just a masochist, yeah, check out Diablo. That's all. I highest recommendation.
Now, where would you put this one among Adkins's kind of like upper echelon there with like Accident Man, Ninja? Like, where would you put this one? Would you put that
Right.
one up there with those?
Yeah, I would have to say it would be the top 5. I like the one he did last year too, the Take Cover. That was really good as well, and I like the second Accident Man more than the first.
Hmm.
Just like I like the second Ninja more than the first. So yeah, it would definitely be a top 5 Adkins. That's something we probably will explore one day. Although, I mean, he's still quite active and still producing movies, so it'd be a little bit tougher to figure out how we would
And
do
not
a
like
Scott
and
Adkins
not
ranking.
slop either. He's still putting out like some
Oh yeah,
cool,
again,
creative stuff.
yeah. This Diablo being a great example of that. I mean, he's not. He's getting better as time
Right.
goes on,
He's
which
not
is
just
what you
phoning
want.
it in.
Right. So, again, that was a big part of June on bulletproofaction.com as well. And we also had, not only did Chad Cruz return to the podcast, he actually posted something as well. So,
Whoa.
congratulations, Chad Cruz. We'll hear. Maybe we'll get a July one. Maybe he can go 2 months in a row. We'll find out.
Place your
It's
bets.
America's birthday, and it's Chad's second post of the year.
Excellent. Well put, Toy Man. So yeah, check out bulletproofaction.com to see if Chad sneaks something in there. Post number 3. We'll find out. But let's get into it. We're talking about American Shaolin. What a film this is, also known as King of the Kickboxers 2 American Shaolin. And I would assume, Chris, they went this path because of the same strategy they had going with the No Retreat, No Surrenders, where you have a title and it doesn't matter if the sequel has anything to do with the movie that came before it.
Yep, and that could be because the writer of all of those films, actually, Keith W. Strandberg, he wrote all 3 No Retreat, No Surrender, No Retreat, No Surrender cinemas. Oof, I'm plugging myself as I talk. Uh, he wrote all 3 No Retreat, No Surrenders, as well as The King of the Kickboxers and American Shaolin. So
Yeah.
it seems like he was kind of just, and you notice it, especially with this one, and as we go on, we'll talk about it, but this one feels eerily close in a lot of ways to the setup and the story beats as No Retreat, No Surrender, the original
Yeah.
one. I guess the only thing that was missing from this one that No Retreat, No Surrender had was that Keith himself was in that first film as one of the thugs beating up your favorite character, Jason
Oh,
Stillwell's sad
geez.
sack father.
Saddest sack this side of Judd Hirsch. Let me tell you what. He's the worst. Yeah. This one definitely does have that the most in common with No Retreat. No, it definitely seems like it's geared to more of a younger audience,
Hmm.
or at least a younger audience could watch it with less offensive and violence to deal with. But yeah, it's American Shaolin, released in the United States on video in February of 1993. Of course, it's from the Seasonal Film Corporation, which created these wonderful masterpieces for us. Directed by Lucas Lowe, who did the original King of the Kickboxers and No Retreat, No Surrender 3 Blood Brothers, which is another one that we will eventually have to talk about here on this podcast. And we started with one of the greatest character names of all time, Trevor Got It All, played by Trent Bushy.
It's got it all.
What a
And we
great heel
see
name. That's like an NXT heel name.
it is Shawn Michaels. If you're listening, and I know you're not, you might want to consider this name for somebody. But yeah, we see him doing a sparring
It
session.
would have to
He's
be
got
like a third generation superstar too.
to
No.
piss everybody off,
Yeah.
right? To piss everybody
Nope,
off.
you're not a heart. You're Trevor Got It All.
Mhm. Um, he's got state of the art training though, Ryan Campbell. I mean, they got computers and stuff.
Oh man, they're tracking like his punches, his breaths in between. Like he's got it all. He's got the ladies hanging off of him. He's got the looks, the total package. He has got it all.
Yeah, IMDb I think credits the actress from Uncle Buck, Tia, the actress who played Tia, as one of the girlfriends in this movie, and she is totally not that. But of course, IMDb, I also want to mention, if you check IMDb synopsis of this, Chris, it says Jason Stillwell travels to the Shaolin Temple.
You know, I actually did notice that, and I was like, wait a second, that's not true. So I'm wondering if this was a summary written by AI, or did we have an international viewer getting this mixed up as one of the many Karate Tiger films?
Could be, or was that originally going to be the No Retreat, No Surrender to? Like, who knows?
It's
Because
definitely
he was supposed to come back for No Retreat, No
He was,
Surrender too.
but it was Cambodia, so I don't know how they would have
That's
used
true, right?
Cambodia as China or Thailand or whatever.
Right.
there was a few like weird little nuances with the IMDb. Like this, like Trent Bushy, I could have swore was in some other ninja movie around this time. Like I thought maybe it was Three Ninjas, or there was something else. He looks, maybe it's just like the tall black hair pulled back,
Right.
like
Yeah,
in a
well, that was
suit.
the villain in Three Ninjas, but yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely wasn't Trent Bushy.
but and then we'll get into it with Master Quan, who I could have swore was the legendary.
Don't say it.
What? I could have swore it was
Go
James
on.
Hone. I could have swore that was James Hone.
Well, you're wrong.
I guess I was wrong. Yeah,
But
for sure it was
you
James
know,
Hone.
You're
you
Ryan
know how they
wrong.
say that you know how they say everyone has their doppelgangers and stuff. To
Yeah.
me, Trent Bushy
Yeah.
is very Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. He's got
I can
like
see that.
that vibe
He's a little
going
more
for him.
lanky. He's got that like long neck, kind of like he just looks more lanky than what
I'm going to tell
JDF
you
was.
what. His origin story can be seen in Karate Kid Legends.
Jason David Franks?
No.
Tommy Oliver?
Trevor Got It All.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But now here's an even more out there choice for being a doppelganger. See, we're talking about, martial artist for martial artist or whatever here. Reese Madigan, who plays, the protagonist, Drew Carson,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the early part of the movie when he first travels to China, he's got the red backwards hat on and everything like that. Is it just me, or does he look like Ethan Embry? And if that name does not ring a bell, he was from Can't Hardly Wait. He was the main character. He
Rusty.
was in Empire Records. He was
He
the
was
young kid in
Rusty.
Dutch with Ed O'Neill.
He was Rusty.
He was Rusty. Yep, that's right. Vegas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get a very strong Ethan Embry vibe from Reese Madigan, which I did not get when I was younger. It kind of struck me when I was rewatching this earlier this week.
I get a Nick Papa Giorgio. No, I don't get that from him. I didn't get that. And I'm not seeing it. But maybe if I watch it again, I'll feel what you're laying down there. I don't know. So yeah, we get to Trevor Got It All. And then he catches his opponent with his pants down. And this is going to become a theme.
Yeah, he seems obsessed with pantsing his opponents.
Yeah. Because he learns if you humiliate your opponent, they will forever fear you.
Yes.
From that weird guy who doesn't come with him later, but
that's his Booker.
Alert. I guess so.
He was in the back counting dollar bills.
This is where we get one of those beats from No Retreat, No Surrender, because the whole pants down thing, it's the first of several times that we're gonna see it, and it reminded me of how even though it wasn't his, I'm doing the air quotes and you can't see them, his finisher, Ivan the Russian was doing that whole let me wrap their bodies in the ropes so I can trap them. So this was almost kind of like his signature move
Mm.
to kind of set up his opponent. So right
And
there,
it's
that kind of gave me a reminder of what we saw Ivan doing in No Retreat, No Surrender.
very impressive that he can do this with those gloves on.
Yeah, magic fingers.
Indeed. Um, so yeah, he's there. So cocky Trevor goes. Now we see him from his training. Now here's what he was training for, this big tournament. He shows up, Ryan Campbell. He has 2 uniforms.
It's hard to hate him, man. I mean, a lot of this is the gimmick. He's if it was like he's like the Logan Paul of this early '90s martial arts. Like
Yeah.
he gets the all the other stuff beyond that, just the fighting, the showmanship, the ambiance, and the personality part of it. So he's a good heel. He's just being a good heel.
Yeah, he's a good heel, all right. But yeah, the reason he has 2 uniforms because he's got a special one saved for the finals. He's very confident he's going to make it to the finals.
He's got it all.
This is where we see Drew Carson in action for the first time, Brees Madigan, as you pointed out, Chris. And I wanted to know why these preliminary matchups were just done on the floor. And then later we go graduate to the ring. What the hell is going on with this tournament?
You got to work your way up the ladder. I mean, this was definitely not the All Valley.
Yeah.
So this is not
Yeah,
what,
it was. Yeah, they didn't even have mats. They were just on the freaking hardwood.
I mean, we talked about how, Ryan made like the Logan Paul reference or whatever. If this movie had more of a budget, they could have actually brought in some endorsements for some of these guys, but we didn't even have proper fighting material for the tournament. So how are we going to give this guy, a Gatorade shirt or something if we can't even supply what the fighters need?
It's like they were just like, oh, you have something going on at the gym. Can we just use this section over here?
Like how Blood Match was done.
Oh, blood match. Okay. You're right. You know what? Who's there as well is Master Quan, Drew's trainer, played by Kim Chan. And let me tell you right now, I've talked about IMDb having some bad things on it sometimes or false things. Check out Kim Chan's picture on IMDb. It's one of the greatest pictures on the entire site. He's very good.
Do you think he gets to pick? Like, did he pick what that was?
I think he picked those oranges.
Probably. Did he like log into his own IMDb and be like, "Nope, I want this to be my"?
So I just looked it up, and it turns out that when he fled China in 1928, he actually settled here in Rhode Island.
Why don't you go see him?
Look at that.
Take him some oranges.
Yeah,
it appears that he's been gone for quite some time since he's been deceased since 2008. So I don't think there'd be anything
take
left
some oranges to his grave.
Yeah,
if it's in Rhode Island, who knows?
If he's buried in Rhode, yeah, you need to go visit his gravesite. Be a nice.
He was in
father-son activity.
Bruce Willis, which I talked about a long time ago. That's a great movie.
There you go. Well, anyway, Master Quan's very proud of Drew Carson for making this far, and he's even prouder when he makes it to the finals of this tournament that actually takes place in a ring, not just on the hardwood floor. It's Trevor versus Drew. There's a lightning strike, and then these two are just in this ring, Ryan Campbell, all by themselves. The fans disappear. It's just these two warriors in the ring until an unfortunate event for Drew Carson.
Yeah, very cool little moment of filmmaking there. It kind of sets the stage for some of the like quirky stuff they'll kind of put in there that doesn't really they haven't really alluded to anything like that. It just kind of happens, but it's really cool. But yeah, unfortunately, he himself gets pantsed, and the bad news brain is that there are in fact people in the crowd. It is not as empty as what this image that we're seeing. They're there, and they're laughing as he scrambles to get out of the ring, covering himself. Just the worst moment you could possibly imagine.
This was like one of those nightmares come true. Could you imagine if Lord Alfred Hayes was on commentary for this match? Would he have found it amusing, or would he have been completely disgusted?
I definitely think he would have found it amusing. Gorilla would have been disgusted. I think that's how it would have played out.
It would have definitely been a Terry Garvin joke or two thrown in
Okay.
there. But now, do
Yeah,
you?
he could
Well,
get behind Drew Carson. That's for sure.
I was gonna say, do you guys know? But of course, you guys don't know this because you weren't there. But I'll share a quick story. So this goes back to eighth grade, and we had someone who was very
Yeah,
much,
how did we? How? Wait,
yeah.
no, I
How
know
would
I
you
this.
know
knew
that?
that.
How
Yeah.
could you possibly know that?
Get the hell
But
out of here, man.
we had a kid who was very much not a Trevor Got It All type in our gym class. He was just kind of one of like the, young thug wannabes at the time. And for whatever reason in gym class one day, he was running around trying to pants people during a game of basketball. So like if you were going up for a shot, like you were going up for a layup, he was trying to pants people. So very much trying to humiliate people for no reason or get off on it, whatever he was trying to do.
Oh
So
yeah.
at some point during the game, he comes up and I see him out of my peripheral vision. And as he like lunges for my gym shorts, I kind of throw a downward block to knock his hand away. So he, of course, gets huffy and gets in my face and starts pushing and everything. And for some reason tries to like claw me, like not throw a punch or anything, but like swinging his hands like with like talon style. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, so I threw a sidekick that knocked him on his ass because I don't just watch action movies. I actually trained in Taekwondo. Talked about that one before. And I was thrown out of gym for fighting. Luckily, he gets suspended. I didn't. Principal understood the story. But yeah, for some reason, I guess in the early 90s, because this was 1993, I was in eighth grade in 1993. Apparently, pantsing was like the worst thing you could do to someone.
And then everyone clapped. Yoink! Listen. Yeah, that's a good story. Yeah, how the hell would we have known that?
Well, now you know, and knowing was half the
You know
battle.
what?
I remember
This
growing
is
up in school, there were these words of this kid
mm,
in Rhode Island who had fought
mm.
off a bully trying to pants him.
You know what I
It was
call
like
this?
that S thing we all wrote on our books that no one knew where it came from.
This is where one of
This is
those
now the
things
Seattle Kraken logo.
this is where I file this things under Toyman bullshit. Okay? There's certain things that you all have your own folder. I got news for you. I went to what movie did I? Oh, it was when I went to go see Ballerina. Every fucking trailer before that movie, I'm like, this is all Ryan Campbell bullshit.
Most of it's going to be next month if it was like
Other than
Fantastic Four,
Naked Gun.
Jurassic World, all those.
Yeah, those were on there. Ryan Campbell bullshit. Ryan Campbell. The only one was the Naked Gun. That one was like, okay, that's up for grabs.
Toyman bullshit.
That's what I'm like. That could be a Toyman bullshit. I kind of was intrigued by it. Would I go to the theater to see it? That's to be determined. But let's get back to this movie. So yeah, we get Drew. He's humiliated. He's defeated, and now he's out on the beach. And him and Master Quan are having a heart to heart. And Quan fesses up. Apparently, he, like many wrestling trainers, sold Drew a bill of goods.
Lion bastard.
And said, "Oh yeah, I train with the Shaolin monks, and now I will train you." And obviously he had some martial arts abilities and skills to pass on because Drew made it to the finals. But now Drew's like, instead of getting pissed, he's like, you know what? I'm going to do what you couldn't do. I'm going to go train at the Shaolin Temple.
This guy's got nothing going on.
Yeah. And Master Quan's like, let me help pay you to get you there. I mean, all right, let's see what happens. So here we go, Chris. He is an American going to the Shaolin Temple. I think we now understand the title of this film.
Oh, I just put that together.
Yeah, could he be the American Shaolin?
He could be. If he can get there. So he arrives in Beijing, does a little sightseeing. Then he gets a little martial arts practice in just because, I don't know, they probably filmed some stuff and they threw it in there.
Can you imagine the balls to just go to another country that you don't speak a lick of the language?
No.
Phones, Google Translate,
Yeah.
just raw dogging it around town, not knowing what anyone's saying.
No. I wouldn't go to Rhode Island, let alone because people might pants me, and another guy bald bastard might sidekick me or some shit.
Well, no, I would sidekick them in defense of you.
I'm not too
And
sure.
don't forget that your invite came direct. Not that I would not have invited you, but your invite to the East Coast came directly from John Cena Sr.
Yeah, he'd be okay with me, but I don't know about you, you bald bastard. Listen, so he gets to Liu Yang, and that whole town is sponsored by Marlboro. I hope you know.
See, that's why no one can talk American to him. They're all coughing.
And speaking of that, I do want to thank the Gary Robbins fan club for sponsoring last week's Wild West Week edition of the Bulletproof Podcast.
Great. I'm glad they were able to partner and kind of pick up the mantle where we dropped it a little bit, but I appreciate it.
CanadianGiant.com if you'd like to join.
Now, see, the idea for a what if column right here. Ryan Campbell needs to write a what if column. What if they made Canadian Shaolin starring Gary Robbins?
Oh man. I'm going to develop a time machine just so we can get that thing made.
All right. That would be the best use of a time machine, I would think, if you had that ability. So he, and here's to what you just pointed out. Drew doesn't care that he just goes up to a group of girls and asks them if any of them speak English, which is probably a little bit of American arrogance. Like, you should speak my language. I'm the only American here, but everybody should speak what I speak. But by chance, he lucks out because Ashina does speak English, but she does. Like, wouldn't it make more sense for you to speak our language, you bastard?
He's about to be a bald bastard.
I was just gonna say, preemptive strike there by Brain.
So she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I could give you a ride to the temple on my bike. Cool. So she does, but she's like, okay, well, here it is, but I gotta go help my grandfather. Okay, thanks. Hope I see you again. And you know what?
Surely in this city of like 6 billion people, our paths will cross again.
Indeed. I feel like we would see her again. So then Drew, he just lets himself in to the Shaolin Temple.
Yeah, trespassing does not. What I just tripped over my own words there. Drew Carson does not care about trespassing. He made it here, and God damn it, he's going to stay at this temple by hook or crook.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't do much to dispel the perception of Americans in foreign lands. Just like walking around, doing whatever the hell he wants. Screw your traditions and your ways.
He's not entirely likable. He doesn't have really that sympathy factor, even though he gut pants. You could probably do a whole Cobra Kai thing where Trevor Goddardall is actually the hero of the story, and Drew Carson is just the arrogant American asshole.
Oh man, see, when if we ever get to the point of running out of movies to write about or talk about, we'll just make shit up. And of course, by then AI would really be. We could just make them.
I was gonna say that's like 90% of the internet now.
Bring back Barry Chan.
Oh shit! I'm gonna
Barry Chan versus Gary Robbins, and we're gonna talk.
I'm gonna make sure somehow AI refuses to recognize Barry Chan in any form. Like, that doesn't. No. But Milkshake is a good song. So yeah, he's just walking around. He sees a monk sweeping up in the courtyard, and he's just rude to him. And it's like, do you need your head shined? And he just, what? Come on, Drew. Then he's back inside where the monks are, in the middle of prayer, and he just interrupts with applause because he thinks it's like it's a show.
Remember, this is like some of our first exposure to Drew.
Yeah.
Like we didn't.
I mean, the biggest exposure is when he's pants, but go on.
There you go. Yeah. We didn't know anything about him prior to the fight. So like we're still learning who he is, and he's not exactly ingratiating himself to these people and us as the audience at this point.
No, he's not. And they're like, hey, no tourists are allowed in here. We're like, this is a religious ceremony. And he's like, well, I'm here to train. And they're like, oh, we don't accept foreigners.
The hell you are.
The training is extremely hard. But Drew's like, no, I'm here for training. So they have to throw him out, his bag. He does manage to find Ashina and her grandfather, as he said, Ryan Campbell, just by dumb luck, I guess, or they just live like right across the street from
Seems that way.
the temple. Yeah. And grandfather, through Ashina, tells a story about a man who tried to get into the temple and was refused entry. So he just stayed in the courtyard until they could no longer say no. And that man went on to become one of the greatest monks in Shaolin
of all
history.
time, on the Mount Rushmore of Shaolin monks.
Yeah, he's right up there. So Drew, hears this and is inspired. And he's like, and customers also watch cruise mode and just goes and does the same exact thing. He's going to sit in the courtyard until they can't deny him.
With WCW Thunder intro graphics behind him.
And, obviously there's some questions one could ask, and it's just a movie, but how long was he there? What did he eat? Where did he go to the bathroom?
I think he was going to try to eat that pigeon.
Yeah, until they became friends. Those types of things.
I like to think he was there for like 2 hours. Like he had this like life-changing experience that's completely transformed who he is. And it was like, shorter than the movie itself.
It could have been. But he's there, and the next, or at some point, some of the monks walk by and like, oh, let's get rid of him. And the monk he saw sweep, he's like, nah, just leave him. He's going to give up. He won't last. But Drew does. He's there. Ashina's there. It's like, oh, my grandfather's so proud of you. And it's rain or shine. He's there. And then that sweeping monk talks to Drew and it's like, has this been hard for you? And he said, at first it was, and he was bored and he was lonely, but then he became one with the courtyard.
Putting down
and made friends with the pigeon. He has it in his hand. And now it happens
now
to
I want
be...
a sequel where he teaches the pigeon karate.
Oh, there could be a whole animated, like they could have gotten on before the Kung Fu Panda. It could have been Kung Fu Pigeon or Shaolin Pigeon.
Called like King
you
of
missed out,
Boxers or something.
You missed out, seasonal. You could have expanded into animation.
Kung Fu Panda is kind of a fish out of water, not what they were expecting kind of thing. There's some similarities there.
You could have been on that.
You know who is in Kung Fu Panda, does a voice in Kung Fu Panda? James Hong. James Hong does.
So does Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Sure does. And Jackie Chan.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So yeah, it's new student day at the temple. And I think they said something like this is going to be the last class. I don't know why.
Ever.
Like, why are they stopping it, Chris? Tell us.
Probably because there was some crazy American that just barged into the temple grounds, and they were like, you know what, we're fearing for our lives at this point. We can't let anybody else in.
We're going to train this last class that we've already promised.
They were bulldozing it down to put a apple factory there or something.
We're gonna burn the place down right after that. I've seen some of those where they burn the Shaolin Temple down. Some of those Shaw Brother movies. So yeah, all these students are coming up with their family. Oh, goodbye, mom and dad. I'm gonna become a monk. Good for you, son. And the door's shut, and once again, Drew's just sitting there. He's got his Sheena and grandfather there. But then Yaba cracks open the door, and he's a mute. But he's signaling for Drew, but Drew's like a little bit despondent, not paying attention. But Ashina's like, hey, they're calling for you. So Drew lays one on her, and then he gets up, and it's a victory for him. He's going to train at the Shaolin Temple, just like he wanted to.
Since yesterday.
Dreams do come true, even if they are new dreams.
It's kind of like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing ever in the history of my life since yesterday when I learned about it.
Mm-hmm. So then we get in. There's the initiation ceremony. Drew cannot say yes without pause like all the other people. He's just got to talk American talk. It's like, read the room, Drew. Come on. Why you got to be this way? You're embarrassing yourself. When in Rome, right. And then the abbot comes in. It's Master Sandé. Henry O, it's the sweeping up monk.
Ah, who could have foreseen?
Oh. Then we get a familiar face in the form of Gao, played by Daniel Day Kim, who is completely disgusted that they've allowed this American into the precious and sacred Shaolin Temple.
The ageless Daniel Day Kim. He doesn't look that much different here than he does today.
Right.
And did you know this may be the only time in Bulletproof Action history that we cover a movie, and of all movies, it's this one, that features one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people? Because Daniel Day Kim was voted as one of those people this very year.
Oh my.
In the year 2025, as we talk about 1993's American Shaolin, Daniel Day Kim, people remember him from Lost, Hawaii Five-O, a million other things, is on the 100 most influential people list out of the entire world.
Why?
I'm not sure why. I did not read much further,
I'm going to
but I
assume it's
was
some charity or some initiative, I would hope.
Captain, read the headline and don't read the story over here.
well, no, because I was
Listen.
looking to see what he was
If
in
he tried to
currently.
pants you, you'd know.
I was looking to see what he was in currently
Right.
because, Hawaii Five-O has been off for a while and stuff like that, and it popped
And
up.
he didn't even make it all the way through that. Didn't he leave because they weren't paying well?
Maybe that's why. It was the actors' strike. Was he like a big part of the Screen Actors Guild? Is he like high up in there?
Could have been.
He left Hawaii Five-O, went 10 years, and he was in the first 7 seasons.
Yeah. I know at some point he was like, well, why? I think he was like, well, why are the other?
That reboot had at least 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Had 10.
Oh my gosh.
It had 10, yeah.
Broadcast TV is just like a whole other world.
And I watched them all. I liked it. I was into it.
At CBS Friday night, I mean, you probably just had a real steady and consistent. That's why Blue Bloods was like the number one freaking show on Friday nights, because you just had a steady, consistent audience. That audience was not going to be like, oh, well, this Friday I'm going out on the town. You're fucking not going out on the town. You're staying home.
TGIF, you're staying home.
And it was basically like TGIF.
Boomer TGIF.
Right.
So I'm reading the paragraph now. I won't read it word for word. Apparently, he's been on The Good Doctor. I did not watch that, so I was not familiar with that.
Well, that would get you on any list.
He was named one of People's Sexiest Men Alive twice. Okay. He combines his talent, skill, and humanity as an advocate for equality. He is a force of nature. Let's see. A career like Kim's is rare, but even rarer is a willingness to use success not just for oneself, but for others, a quality that makes Daniel Day Kim a leading voice in the fight for change. And that dedication to him was written by J.J. Abrams, who directed him in Lost.
There you
go. You've just given me a great idea. I see a Bulletproof Action Most Influential People list being crafted with number 1 being the Canadian giant Gary Robbins.
I love it. I was getting ready to say you can't give it away, but that's
not very elite,
it's going to bring the people to the art.
That will bring the people, and then be like, well, they still will want to know who 2 through 100.
You know who's not on that list?
Who's that?
Goddamn Barry Chan.
You got that right.
This is a cumulative list of the staff. We're supposed to all combine.
And you'll be the only one. You'll be the only one who puts Barry Chan, and you'll put him at number 1. And I'll be like, that's bullshit.
Like ranked order list.
Of course, I'm the only one. You're the anti-Barry Chan guy. Ryan is usually in the middle, but sometimes will lean your way depending on which way the wind blows. Yep. Chad's fucking dark man blending into society, just vanishing from the site when I need him.
Chad doesn't even know who Barry Chan is.
He doesn't.
He doesn't know.
He thinks Barry Chan is one of the Bee Gees.
Jackie Chan. So he don't know shit from Shinola. He don't know nothing. Goddamn Chad Cruz. Goddamn Barry Chan. Goddamn all you bastards. Listen now. Where are we? Oh, yeah.
Daniel Day Kim showed up.
Yeah, he's
world's most influential man, Daniel Day Kim.
Drill Sergeant Cliff Lenderman is there, and he's like, all right.
Where do you know the Drill Sergeant from, Brain?
Super Fights?
Yes, I was very good.
another
Sandman
seasonal
movie.
film, so it's
Yeah.
not really surprising that they often use a stable of talent that they could tap into. But yeah, he's in Super Fights, which is another one that we could very well cover.
And
here
he
on this
has very
program.
perfect English. He's a wonderful voice.
He's good. He's really good.
Super Fights would be good for July if you just want
Why?
the main character.
Oh, he's got Americon.
The whole American
Yeah,
boy, American hero type thing.
I remember. Yeah, we that's possible. Anything's possible on the Bulletproof Podcast. They got to get their heads shaved, and this is Toyman's favorite part of the movie
Because I go through it bi-weekly.
because there's more like you now.
And they don't even have shaving
maybe it's a
cream.
choice. Maybe I've been studying with the Shaolin monks, and I only break my vow of silence to come on the Bulletproof Podcast. This is why people need to listen. This is the only time you will hear me speak.
To talk about Barry Chan. You should have those dots on your head though, then, because if you've been doing it for so long, you get those dots. You know what I'm talking about? Tells you
It makes your head look like a pair of dice.
Like what level monk you're at.
There you go.
So yeah, they get their heads shaved. Of course, Drew's a little bit like, oh, do I have to do this? Yeah, you do. Gao does not want to even be in the bunk next to Drew. That's how disgusted he is. He says he stinks.
Ooh.
Stinks so Lee,
freedom.
good old Lee steps up and he's like, I'll trade with him. Lee seems like a very good, nice young man.
Oh, he's going to be rewarded here in a little bit.
So the first day of training, drill sergeant gets them all there, and they're like, okay, everybody grab a staff. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to learn how to fight with a staff.
Donatello on day one. Let's go.
Let's do this thing. And then they find out these staffs are going to help them dig a latrine. And apparently they're digging it under a giant pile of rocks. So they got to move these rocks first. Where do these rocks come from?
They're up Ship Creek without a whole staff.
Why there? Where do those rocks come from, Chris? Please explain to us about rocks.
Did they get them did the truck come in back up and just dump the rocks on top of the dirt just for the purpose of getting removed again?
Maybe that's why this is the last class, because by then the latrine will be done.
Right? And just the monks who will, until they all die out.
No more monks anymore.
They'll have a place
to
shit.
The new shit house is done.
So after that first day of messing with these rocks, obviously these guys are exhausted.
Now it's time to get their rocks off, Brain.
Oh, but listen,
grabbing their staffs.
They're not too exhausted to look at a little American entertainment in the form of Playboy magazine.
Let's go, Lee. This is where your friendship is rewarded. You get first peek.
He's never seen such sights.
And this is where I think Brain's point of this being a more family-oriented film comes into play, not for the inclusion of Playboy, but this is the type of scene you would have seen in a Goonies Monster Squad, a younger preteen.
Yeah, 90s kids movies. They wouldn't show you, but just the cover where the person is maybe modestly scantily clad, not even
you gotta think about or whatever.
You know what I'm thinking about? Adventures in Babysitting.
There you go.
Yes.
Where they think she is a Playboy model. Perfect.
You could do a lot when there was just brand recognition back then. You didn't have to show anything or be too explicit, just Playboy, and that implied a ton of other stuff.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the drill sergeant almost catches them. Next day we have breakfast, and Drew once again is being Drew, and bitches about kind of just what is this? And so drill sergeant just comes and takes away the food. You don't like it, you get nothing.
You think he would know just to keep his head down these first few days?
No, he can't.
I know nothing about being a Shaolin, but I know I've seen enough of training to know just take it easy the first few days. Mind your P's and Q's. Don't make any enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Not Drew.
No, he can't help himself. And then we're back to the rock pile.
Here we go.
And one of the greatest. I mean, I remember the first time I watched this, and I had not ever seen this. Know who sent me a DVD of this? Mr. Paul London.
Ah.
And I'm like, I had never. And I think at that time it wasn't on YouTube. I'm like, oh no, I never saw this. And I popped that thing in there, and I was like, all right, this is okay. It's kind of, again, like, yeah, Drew's kind of an ass, so I don't know all this. And then this scene happened, and I was 100% sold on this film for the rest of my life.
It all comes together. I get this clip still texted to me at least once a year. Just randomly gets texted.
Probably when I randomly watch it, or just it popped into my head. Yeah, so we get into it, and Drew's singing the classic Summertime Blues. And Lee, once again, is like very curious, like, what are you singing? So he starts teaching him. And next thing you know, Chris, we get ourselves a good old fashioned montage to the parody version of sorts. Not Summertime Blues, it's the Shaolin Temple Blues.
Do you love this scene, but you hated Surf Ninjas?
Let me tell you
When they did the
something.
Bobber Ann, they did the Bobber On, but they did Bobber Ann.
Let me tell you something about Surf Ninjas. That movie was an absolute piece of shit. My least favorite movie that we've ever covered on this podcast.
This movie also has 100% less Rob Schneider.
That could be too,
I mean,
right there.
That's a good thing, but I mean, come on,
Right.
Ernie Reyes Jr.
Rob Schneider, he's not. Didn't I say I wanted him dead when we did that podcast? We did that podcast like 4 times. That was the other problem with it. We kept having technical difficulties. One time we did it and weren't even hitting record, or it stopped recording like 2
That
minutes.
might have been recording from the island they filmed it on.
I'd be like, yep, I'll see you guys next week. Deuces.
Oh my God, that was horrible. I hate that freaking movie. All right. Yeah, I love this scene. This sold me on it.
It really brings it all together because he's, at this point, we all think Drew's an ass. But we see here.
This changed my perception.
Yeah, at his core, there is like a noble heart there. It's just he's it's just part of the way he's grown up. But he does have this sense of camaraderie with his group. He wants everybody to get along. He's trying to get everybody motivated and get through this tough task. And we get a fun little team building exercise of the team all singing Shaolin Temple Blues.
And you know what, Chris? I think this goes back to what I talked to you about when we did Karate Kid Legends, and we were talking about Cobra Kai. And I said, because you got to assume, I'm assuming Drew's like a teenager in here. Maybe early. I mean,
I would say 18, 19. Yeah,
he's got to be out of high school if he's just getting up and going. But what did I say in that thing about the Cobra Kai? Teenager versions of ourselves are often the worst versions of ourselves. We're immature, got an attitude problem, and we could just be an asshole to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that with Drew until the Shaolin Temple Blues. And that's where we see this team, even when he shares the plate, and he's getting such delight from these monks just oogling and ogling and drooling over the thing. So
I think we're getting a little bit ahead, but I think the his masters see it too, because if not, they would have kicked his ass out by now. But I think they clearly see something is inside there if they can just bring it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Drew is never regretful of his actions. It's like he's just a ne'er-do-well. It's just he's like the Dennis the Menace of the Shaolin Temple.
He's a lovable scamp.
To be fair, he hasn't really like shit the bed yet here. Like he's getting
coming though.
It's like freshman style, like hide from the principal. Like he ain't been sent to the principal's office yet, which we're going to be getting to.
So drill sergeant says no singing at the temple. So then Drew's like, all right, that's it. Let's set a trap. Let's play a prank on him. We'll set this trap, but of course it does not go as planned. You can't prank a monk or get him to like fall or so. So it all goes haywire. And of course Gao's right there to narc on. Oh, it was Drew who did it, and so he thinks he's going to get out of being in trouble.
Stitches, Gao.
Right, he's in more trouble because he betrayed his brothers. But it's double work for all of them. So now we get the point of Drew. He has had enough, and he's getting the troops. He's rallying the troops like, we're here to train, not to be slaves. So they march up to the abbot's room. Drew goes up the steps. He's about to knock on the door, but before he even gets to the door, it opens up, and here comes the abbot making his way. Oh, I was just coming to see you, gentlemen. Oh, well, I got something to say. I have something to say as well. And he insists on going first. And good thing he does.
In life, listen, everyone, if you take anything away from this, listen to this. If movies have taught me anything, if you're ever in a situation where you and someone else both have something to share, always let them go first. Always.
Thank you.
Yeah. Movie knowledge there. Life.
It could, yeah, you can avoid a lot of problems.
If you ever get the, but you go first. No, you go first. Insist that they go first.
Insisting.
Yes.
And it works out here because he's like, you know what? I'm going to push ahead the schedule a bit. You guys are going to start your martial arts training tomorrow. And what was it that you had to say? Oh, we just wanted to thank you for letting us be a part of this. Right, guys? Come on, haha. And they leave. Okay. Now we're into the real training. And it is not easy. It is rough. They're on like those sticks. They got to walk the sticks, Chris. What do you call that gimmick? Are they like logs? Are they what are they?
I mean, you called them sticks and logs. I'm trying to think of a word that I can use that you didn't use.
Somewhere in
Branches?
between.
They're not sticks where it's like, but they're not huge like logs. So it's very, very well thought out gimmick there. You know, it's tough. You got to have skills. So they do that. And of course, Drew's not doing too well with it. And he's getting that attitude like he can't do it. But the drill sergeant's like, doesn't exist.
Can't does not exist in this temple.
Right. Yaba steps in and challenges Drew later that night. And whatever Yaba's magic is, man, the next day, Ryan Campbell, Drew is locked in.
He's ready to go, man. He's got what he's wanted. He's deep in the muck now of training, and he wants to prove his former master that he can do where he failed. And I think those are called training trees or posts. So nothing really Shaolin-y named for those.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Monks use training trees.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, training trees are wooden posts.
Sorry, Ryan.
This is part of iron body training and helps to toughen their hands and potentially deaden nerves over time. There you go.
I think it's a missed opportunity by having a Yaba and not having a character named Daba and Do.
All right. They didn't want to get sued.
I don't think Hanna-Barbera ever cared about suing anybody. I feel like everybody just used their shit.
But by then they could have been in the Ted Turner organization. And he may have. So that night, so Yaba does the thing. Gao now, however, is not in any mood to help Drew. And they start getting into it. Like, okay, I'll challenge you. And they start using their newly acquired skills against one another, which is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Forbidden.
As a monk. And during it, they break a statue, which now they have to go see the abbot. Basically, as Brian mentioned, go to the principal's office. But we see a bit of a change here because Drew steps up first, like, yep, I started it. But Gao's like, you know what, I was part of it too, though. So we're starting to see these two that seem like complete opposites starting to come together a bit. And Abbott's like, if either of you come in here again for a second time, you're gone for good. So despite this little kerfuffle, they get a day out.
It's like one step forward, two step back a little bit. Like they're seeing progress, but it's not coming, quite without its own little thorns,
So they go out, and it's a case of mistaken identity for Drew, who thinks he's surprising Ashina, and boy, it's not her, and she's friends with some local toughs.
I think they work at the ice factory down the way a little bit.
They might.
They used to until they got women and money. Yeah, they got booze and women, then they left the ice factory.
But no, you get the money to get the
there
booze and the women.
There you go.
So yeah, that gets they're like they don't want to fight because they're not supposed to. So drill sergeant does step in and takes them all out and kind of impress. Like they're like, he can't do anything, and they're like, oh shit, he can do everything. He's a goddamn man.
His beats.
Yeah, he's good.
Leading by example.
Drew then bumps into who he was hoping to see, Ashina, and she's like, hey, do you and your friends want to come to the dance at my school? Sure.
Sure, I didn't just break like 4 huge rules in the past 24 hours. I'm on the thinnest of ice possible. Why not break one of the biggest rules that we have?
Why not one more? Right.
But he's got his little red hat on like every lovable scamp would. Bart Simpson, he's just that little troublemaker.
I'll tell you what, you go around being a loudmouth American in another country with a red hat nowadays, and it's not going to go so well for you.
Yeah, no, you might not make it back. Drew, so his fellow monk trainees are like, we don't know how to dance. So Drew, we get another montage of Drew teaching them how to dance, even a little dirty dancing, Chris.
I'd have to say, all this stuff like with the Playboy, teaching them how to dance, this kind of reminded me of when they had Bradshaw teaming up with Taka Michinoku in 1998. And apparently Taka didn't know how to drive or smoke a cigar. And they were basically treating him as if he was like a special needs person that like had no idea how to function in life. That's kind of like, I don't know if that's just the whole, American outlook on foreign lands or whatever, but I really feel like this movie kind of dumbed down the Asian culture. Like that Drew was, Drew was kind of a dork in his own right, but apparently he's going to teach all these people how to dance.
Well, he's like king of the dorks here.
I guess my assumption would be that if these people are all coming to be Shaolin monks, they've probably at the very least lived somewhat of a sheltered life up until this point anyway.
Yeah, like probably been very disciplined.
Right, let's say in America, if a woman wants to go be like a nun, she's probably already lived a pretty conservative life at that point.
Or the opposite.
Yeah. So, I mean, most of these guys are they probably did have a pretty sheltered childhood up until this point, or were raised as a child from their parents telling them as soon as they turn 16, they're going off to become a monk or something. So I can kind of see it.
Well, so now the guys they're prepared. They know how to dance, or somewhat. So they're going to sneak out. They're going to go to this dance, and it's party time when they arrive. We get to Summertime Blues because they paid for that song, and God damn it,
we're going to use it.
And again, we got local toughs involved, though. Oh, these toughs. Can't get away from them. And the dancing and partying becomes fighting.
They're hogging all the action.
And yeah, these guys. That's the problem.
They're all mystery men to these ladies. Ooh, right. If I can get a monk to break his vows.
You're right. You know what? It's a challenge. Women love a challenge. If you're too willing, they're like, get away. So yeah, Drew, of course, once again is called in, but now that's kind of odd because he was not the only one who went to this thing, but he's the only one called in. And Chris, when he gets in there, there's like officials, there's like military dudes in there, and some lady who's just reading the riot act. Who's this lady?
Well, she was at the school, wasn't she?
She must be the school lady.
Yeah, ambassador or an emissary or something.
Asshole is more like it.
Oh,
I didn't like her.
They're all out of line.
And
can't just talk to the temple monks like that.
Right. And the drill sergeant intervenes and kind of calms them down. Abbott's like, you know what? There's a Shaolin business. We'll handle it. Don't you worry.
That's going to be my excuse for everything from now on. This is Shaolin business. I'll handle it.
They do a nice little spin, though, understanding that there is still like heavy reverence for the Shaolin monks. And he says, like, if we let him go, it's admitting that we failed, and you guys know we don't fail. And they're all like, I guess you're right. We got to let the monks do their thing.
Mm-hmm. But with Drew out of the hot water, as far as the government officials and the school and all that, Abbott still's like, you know what? what I told you, if you're in here again, you got to go. So he's got to go.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
And when he goes back, he starts packing his bag. Everybody's like, why were you singled out? And it is, life's not fair. Life sucks. Anyway, soon they all walk out.
And then you get into a lawsuit.
So then they walk out with him. Even Gao is like, no, if he's going, we're all going. And now, Chris, we've got ourselves a real team here.
Yep, everyone is united. UNITY, like Queen Latifah. They are all together, marching in lockstep. Literally marching in lockstep. Shaolin Temple Blues
Right.
style, as you say in your notes.
Which I assume was a test again from the masters to see if the whole crew would really come together. This unit.
And we get a montage, Juice showing them how to play some American football. And yeah, we get the guys marching.
Any type of football I've ever seen.
And the Shaolin Temple Blues cadence there as they go through the stream. Now Drew is given a quest, not a request, as these notes say. He's been put on a quest to deliver a scroll to the wisest monk of them all, who lives on the side of the Jade Mountain. And just got to deliver that scroll. He has so much time to do it. And if he does so successfully, that monk will answer any question Drew may have. And in typical Drew style, as soon as he gets on the way, he gets into it with somebody.
At the first sign of any adversity.
He gets into it with this guy. The guy falls off this bridge, but Drew's there to help him. But as he's bending over to pull the guy up, the scroll falls out into the stream or little river below. And he's like, oh. And now, to his credit, though, he continues on the journey. He doesn't just like,
yeah. What would the plan have been if he just like, oh, they told me if I don't do this, don't bother coming back. So I guess.
Yeah, he just went to Ashina and banged her for a couple hours. He's like, I'm screwed anyway. We'll screw you too, huh? So
monk's outside the door. No, come
on. So yeah, he gets to the wise monk, and he's like, I'm sorry, I failed. But then he's like, aha, I have it right here. And it was empty. It was all just a test. So he didn't fail. He did what he was supposed to do. And he's like, oh, what's the meaning of life? And the monk just says something stupid. So
what would your question be to the monk?
Oh, boy. I would probably ask the monk why Monster Mash is dubbed over on the episode of Cheers, but not on the episode of 21 Jump Street.
That's a good use of that question.
That's what I'd want to know.
I applaud that.
To be fair, asking what is the meaning of life is a pretty stupid
it's a waste of a question. What are you going to do with that information? I'll tell you what I'm going to do with the Cheers information. I'm going to know about it, and I'm going to say,
sleep good at night.
I'll be able to
me in
sleep.
The middle of the night.
I could sleep instead of being like, wait a minute now. I'm watching this 21 Jump Street, and they got goddamn Monster Mash clear as day on there.
I told you my theory.
Then I watched Cheers. And no offense to 21 Jump Street, but Cheers is like one of the biggest shows of all time. You're trying to tell me they don't have the juice to get this?
That's probably why they got more eyes on them. So it was probably in syndication on some particular network or something, and they had to change it. And then that's a version that got put onto a DVD or sold in some package and ended up in Tubi, whereas the 21 Jump Street slipped under the radar.
Unless Universal owns Monster Mash, and since that I watched it on Peacock, I don't know. But listen, of course, that episode of Cheers is one of the all-time greats. And if you recall, Ryan Campbell, I think it was one of maybe the first times I was staying at your place, I said, oh, Cheers is on late on Hallmark. I hope it's the episode with the Monster Mash. And that was the very first episode that we saw.
Amazing.
And
that's when I was like, this man, teach me your
really,
ways.
I'm a real genius when it comes to stupid shit.
Well, we're both here unemployed for the summer.
Because, yeah, when else can you stay up to 4 o'clock in the morning watching Cheers on goddamn Hallmark? Not when you got to be up at 7 to go to work. And that was I'm talking, folks, listen to this lineup, folks. You had AWA on from like 11, or no. You had Iron Chef on at 11. And then you flipped over to ESPN Classic at midnight for some AWA. Then at 1 o'clock, the Cheers episode started.
That's enough to make you not go to job interviews, I would say.
That's a solid lineup.
Oh, God. Never mind. All right. If I could only go back in time, as they say. So, yeah. Where are we? Oh, yeah. He gets the thing. He passed the test.
Ask a stupid question.
He asked a stupid question. He got a stupid answer. So then he goes back to the temple. And now it's like, okay, there's one thing left for you monks to do, or monk wannabes, to become a monk. One trial remains, the Wooden Man Chamber. But Drew, you know what? Since you're not planning on living here when this is over, you're done. You've completed your training. Good on you. The rest of the guys will go through. But then Drew's like, nope. If they're going through it, I'm going through it. And you know what? I'm going through it first. And that's probably good because how many of these wooden men do you think they have, Chris? Because Drew smashes the shit out of a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's like, do they have to go and replace them after every person goes through?
Right.
I'm certainly not criticizing.
This would have made a hell of a playset. If there was an American Shaolin line of action,
that would have been cool.
Would have made a hell of a playset.
That'd been a really good Lego episode level too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The seasonal Lego game.
I'm not even hating. I'm not even hating on it. But like, if you were on paper to say that the climax of this movie is someone going through like a hallway and finding wooden mannequins.
Yeah.
And not like spiritually like magic ones. Literally, as far as we can tell, that are just on like pulleys and gear systems. Very, Home Alone 2-ified.
But it isn't the climax, Ryan Campbell. But when you're first watching it, you would think
I guess you're right. That's correct.
You would think that, though. I don't blame you. You're like, okay, he's going to become a monk now. This is it. This is how he becomes a monk. And you would be like a little bit like, oh, that was kind of just.
There's the conflict.
Yeah, anticlimactic there. But yeah, now I'm really starting to think about a seasonal Lego universe game. And I could not wait to kick Joe Campanella out of his house and over the rail and into the pool. And then you fight the King of the Kickboxers in the dome, the bamboo dome.
Yes.
Punjabi prison type thing.
God. Yeah, the original Punjabi prison.
So much money left on the table. Telltale Games.
You'd have to. And Bruce Lee's into. They're licensing him all the time. You could have like the ghost of Bruce Lee as a character. You could be that sad sack dad, beat the shit out of him. God damn it! I need a bazillion dollars. I need all the money in the world. I would make the world a better place if I had this money. All right. So we find out that so Drew gets through. He's now a Shaolin monk. And yeah, you would think, okay, is that it? Is that no? It is not it, because then Drew finds out that there's a big tournament in Shanghai. And Gao will be representing the temple, but he would like Drew to accompany him. And for some reason, Lee also gets to go. I guess they had an extra ticket.
Yeah, you can have a few people,
He won the raffle. But also Ashina gets to go.
That makes even less sense.
And the abbot's like, oh no, don't sit with us. You're supposed to sit over there. And when they get on the train, that is. And so Drew goes, okay, that's odd. And he goes there, and there's a Sheena, and then they kiss, and everybody on the train and outside, the fellow monks, they're all like, this is the greatest thing they've seen.
It was kind of cool that when they get on the train, you can notice all the, like, you know, humanoids on the train are like, oh, the monks are here. Oh, like they're clearly showing reverence to the monks.
Yeah, the monks are over.
Yeah.
And then they get to the International Wushu Exhibition, once again brought to you by Marlboro, because who better to sponsor an athletic event than a cigarette company?
Around this time, if you were racing like a race car, there was like a 95% chance it was sponsored by Marlboro. They were all over sports at the time because they couldn't advertise on TV, so they just advertised everywhere else.
Right. But you know who's at this frickin' Wushu exhibition? He's back, baby. Trevor got it all.
Freaking Trevor
has traveled all the way to Shanghai.
Did he bring 2 suits this time?
With absolutely no character development during the course of this film.
That's how good of a heel he is, though. He didn't even need it.
He's the same guy we last saw. Maybe even more of an asshole.
Yeah, he
developed.
We have no idea how much time has passed throughout this training, but I'm going to assume further out he was just running roughshod across all these martial arts tournaments, pantsing people from here to sea to shining sea, just being an ass.
Yeah, I mean, Drew could have been in that courtyard for 3 months.
We have no idea. Yeah,
we have no
training
idea
for 2 years. Who knows?
There's no concept of time in this film. So yeah, it is going to be Trevor versus Gao, and Drew's like, watch out for this guy. He fights dirty. And I'm going to say this, Chris, this did not make the Shaolin monks look good at all.
No, not at all, because they got their ass kicked by this American pretty boy, and much like No Retreat, No Surrender, this was like Jason trying to warn Ian Riley, like, hey, like, I know this guy, like, this guy's a killer, like, watch out. And they're like, no, we got this. And, very much the same thing here. It's like, oh, we've trained, I can handle him. And Trevor got it all. He got it all. He got it all over those monks.
Oh, yeah, he did. And yeah, he's got Gao pinned against the ropes. He's challenging Drew. He's inviting Ashina to hang out after the event. And Drew stands up, and it's like, oh, here we go. And he's like, no, sits back down. It's like, I don't fight for personal gain any longer.
Showing growth.
Right.
I like that. He's not even and you talked about how in the movie we kind of forget. And I think that's kind of important because Drew's not striving for revenge. Like he truly has like not even crossed his mind that he could go get revenge on this guy at some point. Like he's completely
right. And again, he's grown, as you said, and he got beat and he got pants, but it wasn't like some of these movies we see where it's like, oh, this guy killed my family. No, it just he made a fool out of me, but Drew does a pretty good job of making a fool out of himself. So
and we get a title out of it too, because he goes, I want the American Shaolin.
Ding, you're right. I rang the bell when I heard that shit. Listen now. So then when he takes it too far, because then Trevor, and again, this is pushing the family boundaries here a bit, because he calls the Shaolin monks a bunch of pussies.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
And the abbot takes his glasses off, and he's just kind of cleaning them, and he's like, sometimes you just gotta fight.
Sometimes a bitch needs to learn a thing. That's what he was
right. Saying. It's basically, he should have said, I wish he would have just said, kick this bastard's fucking ass.
Yeah, crowd goes nuts, because at this point, they've turned on him. Like,
right.
For whatever reason, all the humiliating stuff he's done in the past has not got him any heat, but now he's got heat because he started fucking with the monks.
So now we got it. We got Drew versus Trevor, the rematch, and this time is much different, as Drew's just teaching this kid a thing or two, has him down, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help you up. And then we get the famous pants move. But Drew catches him this time before they just completely drop.
He does a sidekick that he learned from Toyman.
Yeah, that's where he learned it from. And anyway, Drew has him down and out again, like in no time. It's like he's just That's why I don't understand why Gao did so horrible. They had the same freaking teaching. I guess Drew had a little bit more motivation than Gao. He had some personal animosity back there. But how did Gao do so horribly where Drew just whooped ass?
Guess that's the difference between getting through training and truly being like the star pupil of the class.
You're right. And this time though, he does help him up, and Trevor kind of is just out of it, and he even raises Trevor's hand, which was a nice move. And of course, a Shaolin chant breaks out, and we cue the music that we paid for, and we're in the end credits. And I have to ask, Ryan Campbell, your final thoughts on this rewatch for you. It's a rare Ryan Campbell rewatch.
Yeah, we had watched it. I don't know how many years ago, but yeah, we'd up at your place. But yeah, it's a fun film. Like you said, it fits in well with a lot of those early '90s kind of ninja movies that. Which is weird that I was really into these. I think it was just a little bit before kind of I came into that wave of Three Ninjas and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff. If it was a few years later, I probably would have caught on to that. But yeah, it kind of fits in with all those. It's really fun, good watch, quick watch, and yeah, it was an enjoyable time. It was nice to sit down and just watch it again.
And I'll tell you what, I never saw this movie until, again, Paul London sent it to me. So some of these, especially, seem like seasonal. I don't know, like
under the
they
radar.
weren't around all the time. Yeah, they weren't always available as easily as some other stuff, at least where I was living. Perhaps they were in abundance in Rhode Island. When did you first see this movie, Chris?
When it started airing on HBO, I'm sure I probably went by it in the video store, but it didn't really stick out to me. And then, watching it on HBO, I don't want to say I'm glad, but this one didn't become a favorite of mine. Back at this time, we're talking about films like, obviously, besides like the Karate Kids and stuff being replayed, still had No Retreat, No Surrender on VHS. Showdown had just come up. And don't forget, there was a lot of R-rated content at this time that I was loving. The Tiger
Right.
Claws, the TC 2000, China O'Brien, all that type of stuff. So this one was always kind of bottom of the barrel for me. This was the first time I've watched it in some time, and I think that the lack of a true villain and the lack of a great fight scene, because we don't really get a great fight scene until the end. Like even like when they're fighting at the dance or when they're fighting at the when they're out in the city and stuff like that, there was nothing that really like stood out. It almost felt more like an action comedy because of the whole fish out of water. Oh, I'm gonna teach these guys what to do. Oh no, you're in trouble again, Drew. I guess to kind of, hit that action note, I never really thought about going back to it. The final fight's fun, but really, Trevor got it all. I mean, all he's got going for him is his name because there was nothing to motivate us to really root for Drew. It's kind of like, all right, well, you're a monk, and it's almost kind of like the fight with Trevor was like a supplemental thing to that. It's like the story's over, but by the way, we've got to wrap up this storyline that we started in the first 5 minutes.
I think they said it in here, and I think Lit has also said it. But Drew was his own worst enemy. Drew was both the hero and the villain for a good chunk of this movie.
Yeah.
He had to overcome his asshole self to become the good Drew.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those origin stories where sometimes you don't want too overpowering of a villain because that's not the focus of the story. It is like the hero's journey is the story. So yeah, I think it works in that way. And he's just enough of a shitheel that, he doesn't really have to be doing much. We can just assume off camera that he's just continued being an asshole up until this point. And we like to
see it may have helped if like we would go back to him every now and again. Just like he's continuing on his pantsing.
A nice montage of like overlays of newspaper headlines.
Right.
I don't know, sweeps another one, and then just the intercut with him pantsing people.
Right. They could have got like a BVD sponsorship or something.
I will say that seeing that it was going to be airing in the afternoons and the early evenings on HBO, even though it was labeled as King of the Kickboxers 2, I knew that there was no way this could actually be a sequel to the first film. So there was no confusion the way that Black Belt 2 was like, oh my God, what am I missing here? I gotta see this film. This one, I'm like, all right, wait. So we made this into like a kids movie now, like a again like a Three Ninjas Surf Ninjas type of thing, and it really does fit into that vibe. It's fun if you're looking at it as like a low budget version of that. Watch this with like the Magic Kid with T.J. Roberts or something like that. That's fine. But as measuring up to all of the other stuff from the era, you know, I I wouldn't I wouldn't put this one in my upper echelon.
And I like what you said too, Ryan, because I was thinking the same thing. Like it is almost like the Drew Carson origin story. Like he almost needed, if he would have had a second movie, that's where I would have expected more of a villain for him to overcome and use his Shaolin techniques to help a neighborhood that was being run over by evil people. I don't know.
Or we can expand upon why that was the last class, and maybe some like evil cartel has taken over the town that the Shaolin Temple used to be at, and he has to go reestablish the temple or something like that. That'd have been cool.
Yeah, something like that. All right, well there it is, folks. It's American Shaolin, and hopefully, if you had the Summertime Blues already, I mean, we're just a few days into it. I hope you don't have them already. Hopefully, this at least helped ease some of the pain that you're going through. And if you don't have the Summertime Blues, I hope we didn't put you in pain by listening to this. All right.
We did just have the summer equinox, so we are past the longest day of the year. So it's all downhill from here, people. Right. Maybe that's why you got the Summertime Blues.
Right. You just know that darkness is coming. Let's talk about the social media plugs. You knew those were coming too if you're a long-time listener, because you can check us out on social media at Bulletproof Pod on X and on Blue Sky, and at Bulletproof Action on Facebook and Instagram. Also have a Facebook group if you'd like to join and share what you're watching and chime in on things.
Give us ideas for podcast episodes. We would love for someone else to give us ideas so we can stop trying to figure it out.
Right. Because sometimes I wonder what we're going to do, but other times I know what we're going to do. And sometimes it just things happen as we're talking. And I think about Trevor Got It All when we're watching Karate Kid Legends, and it's like, okay, that's now on my radar, and guess what? As soon as there's an opening, boom, we're watching it. All right, next time we will not have our regular Tuesday show. We are going to have a special 4th of July episode, because we're going to be talking about Rambo First Blood Part 2 on the next podcast. And that's going to be in conjunction with a very special post we're going to have on bulletproofaction.com, where we'll be ranking Sylvester Stallone's 80s action movies. Got some special guests joining us for that. Looking forward to that. It's been a long time since we had a big mega post, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And it's in honor of Sylvester Stallone's birthday, which is July the 6th. So we're going to be doing that. And then we will resume our Tuesday podcast schedule on July 15th, because, gentlemen, Superman is coming to theaters.
Dun, 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 dun. You'll believe a man can fly again, Brain.
I will believe it, and I am going in optimistically.
It seems to be right down your alley. It's so trying to recapture some of like the spirit and joy of Superman after a very different take on Superman. I won't say good or bad. I'm just gonna say it's a very different take from the Snyderverse one, but it seems to be right down your alley. I think you'll like it.
I'm hoping to, and the fact that the local flavor will help a little bit as well. Since a portion of it was shot here in Cleveland. Some of it was shot in your neck of the woods, Ryan Campbell, down in Cincinnati.
Yeah, we got the good old Hall of Justice down here.
Mm-hmm. So looking forward to that. And you know what else I'm looking forward to? Because once we get through July, we hit August. And August means Actionversary. 11 years of bulletproofaction.com. I could tell you right now, the wheels are in motion behind the scenes.
Oh, they've been in motion.
Things are going on.
It'll be like November, and you start hitting me up with ideas for what Actionversary is going to be.
People are being contacted. There's guest posts. There's Matt Spector already has all 3. That's right, 3 of his posts set to go.
Dignitaries? Will we have dignitaries?
There could be dignitaries. We could have Toyman visiting the grave of Kim Chan. Any of these things are possible on Actionversary month. Chad Cruz may even do a
We
post.
pull out all the stops.
Hopefully it's not about a Spanish
I was
clown,
gonna say.
but Chad Cruz could do something. So yeah, we're gonna have a big countdown post as we do every year. And you know what? We're gonna go look back at our past thing. We're gonna have Bruceploitation. We're gonna have Canon. We're gonna have the things that have helped build this site and keep it going for the past almost now 11 years. It will be 11 years in August. Very excited about that. The YouTube channel.
Yep.
Check it out. We won't have a new podcast next Tuesday, but there'll be new stuff on the YouTube channel. For those of you who exclusively listen on YouTube, we're gonna have some nice archives.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of.
We'll have the first Blood.
Yep, absolutely. Plenty of content that we are slowly trickling to get updated on the YouTube channel from over the years. So yeah, there was. If you're fairly new to the podcast, or like Brain said, checking it out on YouTube, yes, there's constantly going to be new stuff over there, and we appreciate everybody that's liked and subscribed and continues to go check it out. You guys are great.
Yeah, so we will definitely put the first Blood up. The original Rambo movie will be up there, so you can listen to that before you listen to our 4th of July Rambo First Blood Part 2. Toyman, do you have anything you want to talk about before we wrap this one up?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much well covered everything. Obviously, I will be squeezing in a new No Surrender Cinema. What that will be a surprise. So by the time you hear this, it's going to be just days away. Keep a lookout for that. And then obviously, I will keep feeding you some podcast ideas so that we can come back here and talk more about our favorites and maybe some not so favorite things from the world of action.
Ron Campbell, anything else on your end?
Just, we're like, as you kind of alluded to earlier, jokingly, we're heading into July is a big month with Superman, Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, some big heavy hitters. So we'll be covering them all on the website and getting those out as soon as possible. So come check them out. We try to keep them pretty spoiler free. So if you're wondering before heading out kind of what the vibe is, that's a good place to go.
Also want to remind everyone that as this one drops, my appearance on the direct-to-video Connoisseur podcast should also be available, as Matt and I talked about the new Image film Cold Harvest. So if you have not heard enough of me on this show, you can go over to the other show and listen to me over there as well. So I also want to throw another plug out there for the PM Entertainment podcast. I've really been enjoying that one. John is doing a great job. He's got actual PM Entertainment people who were involved in the movies, stars of the movies, behind the scenes people. It's just fantastic, and I'm glad PM Entertainment is getting more attention on it. It definitely deserves it. So check out his podcast as well. Wherever you're listening to this, you'll find his podcast as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for enjoying the Shaolin Temple Blues with me. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.